How a Nigerian soccer player became an NBA legend.
They called him the Dream,
Oh, the dream shake. Oh,
but for opponents, he was a nightmare.
Olajuwon has David Robinson just bamboozled.
Hakeem Olajuwon had no weaknesses in his game, and he's probably the most complete center to ever play basketball. Olajuwon is the best shot blocker in NBA history.
Mm.
Hey! Oh, have mercy!
He's in the top 10 in steals,
Steal by Olajuwon. Look at the crossover dribble. He's fouling
Ooh.
and at the time of his retirement, he ranked 7th in total points scored. But how is that possible, considering that Olajuwon didn't play basketball until he was 15?
I used to play soccer when I was 2, 3 years old. I've been playing soccer. I didn't know anything about basketball.
This is the story of a humble African kid who shouldn't have been anything more than a really tall soccer goalie. All my fakes in basketball are from soccer. It's body movement, footwork. That was my foundation to be agile for my height. It's a story about a dream and how a Nigerian kid came to America and became the most skilled post scorer of all time.
Olajuwon goes. Oh, he put Grant. Oh, he put him in the cheap seats.
Hakeem Olajuwon was born in 1963 in Lagos, Nigeria, as the third of 6 children. His parents weren't poor, as they owned a cement business, and they were looking for their son to take over the family business. But young Hakeem, then known as Akeem, had other plans. He wanted to be an athlete. And like most African kids, he was obsessed with soccer. However, because he was always the tallest player on the field, he played as a goalkeeper, where he developed quick reflexes and impeccable footwork. As a young teenager, Hakeem started playing handball, where he thrived due to his height and athleticism.
I used to play soccer too.
But then, a stroke of luck changed his and basketball's history forever. At the
Man.
age of 15, he entered a local basketball tournament, and at first, he sucked. When a coach demonstrated a dunk by standing on a chair, Hakeem also stood on a chair, repeating the move. But when the coach explained to him that he should dunk from the ground, Olajuwon couldn't do it, despite being 6'7". However, Hakeem quickly fell deeply in love with basketball, even though he kept playing handball for a full year after first discovering basketball.
I ain't never heard of handball.
By the age of 17, Hakeem grew to his adult height of 6'11", and his skills improved drastically. Tall, strong, athletic, with a pterodactyl 7'5" wingspan, Olajuwon dominated the competition. Representing Nigeria's junior national team at the U18 Afrobasket tournament, Hakeem was named the tournament MVP, despite his team only winning the bronze medal. At that tournament, he was approached by Christopher Pond, an American scout who was also coaching the Central African Republic. Pond quickly realized that Olajuwon was an uncut gem, telling him that he could land a scholarship to play college basketball in America. Eager to play, Olajuwon's eyes opened wide when he heard that. And through Pond's contacts, they set up visits for Olajuwon with St. John's, Providence, Georgia, and Houston. Hakeem wanted to play for Houston because the hot Texas weather was most similar to Nigeria. However, since nobody had seen him play when he landed in Houston a few months later, no team representatives were there to greet him, simply telling him to take a taxi to the university.
What?
When he finally arrived at the University of Houston, Olajuwon was wearing shoes 2 sizes too small, as he could never find size 16s in Nigeria. But a far bigger issue than his footwear was that the NCAA ruled Hakeem ineligible for his first year with the Cougars, so he redshirted the season. However, Olajuwon worked extremely hard behind the scenes, practicing with the team, and spending most of his time in the gym, putting on muscle mass and learning English. Olajuwon started playing for the Cougars in the 81-82 season, and at the time, nobody could have predicted his future success, despite his physical gifts. Hakeem mostly came off the bench, playing 18 minutes per game, averaging 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks per game,
2.5 blocks off the bench?
helping the Cougars to reach the Final Four, where they lost to Michael Jordan's North Carolina. That was the first of 24 games that Jordan and Olajuwon would play against each other.
I gotta watch that. What game is that?
5 blocks per game, helping the Cougars to reach the Final Four, where they lost to Michael Jordan's North Carolina. That was the first of 24 games that Jordan and Olajuwon would play against each other, with Michael scoring 18 points to Hakeem's 2 in a 68-63 win for the Tar Heels.
I don't know if I'm gonna watch that.
And while Jordan would go on to win the NCAA title in the final against Georgetown, Hakeem didn't intend to be a sixth man for much longer. Aching to improve and get more playing time, Olajuwon sought advice from the coaching staff about how to get better, and they advised him to work out with Moses Malone. Malone was the reigning NBA MVP, playing for the Houston Rockets, and during each offseason, Moses played games at the nearby rec center. Olajuwon joined the workouts and went head-to-head with Malone, who dominated the young Olajuwon. He was very gentle when I first met him, but as soon as we started playing, he was not gentle at all. Moses was introducing me to American basketball by just being very physical, and I've never experienced that kind of contact in my whole life. The first time I tried to dunk on him, he slammed me to the ground. I would never have accomplished what I did if I did not play against Moses. With Moses, there were no rests, no breaks. He was working every time down the court, scoring, rebounding, or just making you feel his body. If you tried to take a breath, he went by you or over you. I usually couldn't go through Moses because he was just so strong. So I had to learn to use speed and agility to go around him. That's how I built my game. And even though he was still too skinny and Moses could overpower him, after a while Hakeem found ways to score against the MVP, which gave him a much-needed dose of confidence. Olajuwon returned from that summer a different player. He was stronger, more physical, more assertive, and better in all facets of the game.
Hakeem is everywhere, isn't he?
Can't say much more. He's making jumpers, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds.
During the season, he was nicknamed the Dream after he dunked so effortlessly that his college coach said it looked like a dream. He, Clyde Drexler, and the rest of the Cougars formed Phi Slamma Jamma, the first slam dunking fraternity, naming
I didn't know he played with Clyde. Okay.
themselves that due to their above-the-rim prowess.
Olajuwon. Any questions? Phi Slamma Jamma at its best.
Olajuwon started in every game of the season, and in 27 minutes of playtime, he averaged 14 points, 11.5 rebounds, and a nation-leading 5.1 blocks per game.
Oh my
Houston
God.
lost just 2 games in the regular season, and they made it to the NCAA Finals against NC State, where they were considered heavy favorites. But despite Hakeem scoring 20 points, 18 rebounds, and 7 blocks, NC State won the game, 54-52, on a last-second tip-in what was one of the biggest upsets in NCAA history. In the following season, Olajuwon improved his averages to 16.8 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 5.6 rejections per game. leading all players in blocks and rebounds. The Cougars once again made the NCAA Finals against Georgetown, and even though Hakeem won the individual matchup against Patrick Ewing, the Hoyas won the title, winning 84-75. Olajuwon was voted the NCAA Tournament Most Outstanding Player in 1983, and in 1984, he was named a consensus first-team All-American. Hakeem had one more year of college eligibility and debated whether to stay with the Cougars or declare for the NBA draft, where he was projected to be the first overall pick.
Oh yes, that's why I just want to end the speculation that's been going around. Maybe I'm going to stay or I'm going to go. So I want everybody to know I'm leaving school this year.
His decision was ultimately influenced by the fact that the Houston Rockets had a 50% chance to be the #1 pick, as back then, the draft order was still decided by the coin toss before the draft lottery was introduced 1 year later. I really believed that Houston was going to win the coin flip and pick the first draft choice, and I really wanted to play in Houston, so I had to make that decision to leave early. His intuition proved correct.
Portland calls tails. Here goes the flip. Heads it is.
And the toss placed Houston ahead of the Portland Trailblazers. And in one of the best draft classes of all time, the Rockets selected Olajuwon with the first pick.
The Houston Rockets select Hakeem Olajuwon of the University of Houston.
While the Blazers selected Sam Bowie ahead of Michael Jordan, who was drafted 3rd by the Bulls. In his autobiography, Living the Dream, Olajuwon mentioned an intriguing draft trade between Portland and Houston that would have sent the Blazers shooting guard Clyde Drexler and the #2 pick in exchange for Houston center Ralph Sampson, the reigning Rookie of the Year. Had the Rockets made the deal, Olajuwon stated the Rockets could have selected Michael Jordan with the #2 pick alongside him and Drexler, which would have transformed the Rockets into a dynasty. But even without the trade, Houston still had a great team, with the 7'4" Sampson and 6'11" Hakeem forming the original Twin Towers. The Rockets improved from 29 wins.
Ralph was 7'4"? What?
Without the trade, Houston still had a great team, with the 7'4" Sampson and 6'11" Hakeem forming the original Twin Towers. The Rockets improved from 29 wins in 1984 to 48 wins with Olajuwon paired alongside Sampson, and their defensive rating went from 17th to 4th, as basically no team could finish inside due to the shot-blocking prowess of the Twin Towers. Sampson averaged 2 blocks, while Hakeem notched 2.7 rejections per game, along with 20.6 points and 11.9 rebounds.
Damn.
The Dream became an All-Star in his first season and was second in the Rookie of the Year voting behind Jordan, also making the All-Defensive second team. In the playoffs, the Twin Towers averaged 42 points, 30 rebounds, and 4 blocks per game combined.
What?
They lost their first-round series in 5 games against Utah. However, that was just the beginning, as Olajuwon worked tirelessly all summer to improve his game, taking the lessons of Moses Malone, who taught him how to train and develop his game. But what Moses didn't teach him was how to play like a guard. That came directly from Hakeem himself, who always viewed himself as a guard in a center's body. Because of his soccer experience, Olajuwon's reflexes and feet were far shiftier and more balanced than any big man he faced. And due to his quickness and amazing hand-eye coordination, he felt it was a waste that he didn't use his gifts and play like a traditional center. Because he started playing basketball so late in life, Hakeem thought about the game differently, never really feeling comfortable being boxed in and only playing like a traditional center, scoring jump hooks, dunks, and putbacks. So he started developing an outside shot with an array of spins and fakes that made the opponents dizzy.
Here's a double team on Hakeem, little follow away, and he nails it.
The Dream moved like a guard, shaking left, shaking right, pirouetting around defenders, and scoring with a variety of fadeaways, leaning away from the defender, which made him almost impossible to contain. On top of his expanding offensive repertoire, Olajuwon had the best second and third jump in the NBA. And even if the opponent faked him out or grabbed an offensive rebound, Hakeem could jump back in the air to contest another shot faster than any other big man, which made him the best rim protector in the NBA.
Post, they go low to Big T. They double team him. They jump hook, blocked by Olajuwon. Bailey gets it back, blocked again by Olajuwon.
When they drafted Hakeem, the Rockets thought they were getting an athletic guy who could rebound, block shots, and run the floor. But what they really got was a monster. In his second season, Olajuwon improved his averages to 23.5 points, 11.5 rebounds, 2 steals, and 3.4 blocks per game, finishing 4th in voting for MVP and making the All-NBA second team.
These some crazy
finished
numbers.
second in the West, winning more than 50 games for the first time in franchise history. And behind the stellar play of Hakeem, they dominated in the playoffs. First, they swept the Kings, then they defeated the Nuggets in 6. But in the conference finals against the defending champions, the LA Lakers, nobody gave them much chance to win. The Lakers had prime Magic, James Worthy, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was getting older, but he was still in his prime, and was arguably the toughest matchup for Hakeem. And even though Kareem, Magic, and Worthy averaged 70 points combined, there was no stopping the Dream, who averaged 31 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and 4 blocks, leading the Rockets to their first NBA Finals in 5 games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that game was crazy.
Off balance has given the Houston Rockets the Western Conference Championship and a trip to Boston for the NBA World Title.
We tried everything. We put 4 bodies on him. We helped from different angles. He's just a great player, said the Lakers coach Pat Riley. However, in the finals against the Celtics, the Rockets ran out of steam. Boston played one of the best seasons in franchise history, with 67 wins in the regular season, with only 1 loss at home. And even though Olajuwon played another great series, averaging 25, 12, and 3 blocks, Sampson had an underwhelming finals, and the Celtics celebrated another title after 6 games. In the following season, the same story continued, as Olajuwon kept getting better.
I gotta get this food out the oven. Hold on. All right, chat. He's back at it.
Making All-NBA first team and All-Defensive first team. But Ralph Sampson's health kept getting worse. The 7'4" center averaged 15 points and 9 rebounds per game, all career lows. And he missed half the season due to a knee injury. Houston still made the playoffs as the 6th seed, and Sampson rushed his recovery to play in the postseason. a decision that he regretted forever. Even though the Rockets won their first-round series against the Blazers, they immediately lost in the second round against the Supersonics. Hakeem averaged 29 points, 11.5 rebounds, and 4.3 blocks across those two series.
Wow.
Sampson wasn't bad by any means, with 18 points and 9 rebounds on average, but because he returned from the injury prematurely, Sampson re-injured his knee and had to miss the start of the 1988 season. And when he finally returned, it was clear Sampson wasn't the same player anymore. And after just 19 games, the Rockets traded him to Golden State for Joe Barry Carroll and Sleepy Floyd, whose careers were on the decline. But behind the great play of Hakeem, who was selected to another All-NBA and All-Defensive First Team, the Rockets won 46 games and made the playoffs, once again as the 6th seed. And in the first round against Dallas, Hakeem played out of his mind, averaging 37.5 points on 57% shooting, along with 17 rebounds, 2.3 steals, and 2.8 blocks per game.
Olajuwon, sandwich. Still got the shot away. He's amazing.
And yet, still wasn't enough, as Houston's supporting cast wasn't up to par, and the Rockets lost the series in 4 games.
The Dallas Mavericks have won the best-of-5 series, 3-1 over the Houston Rockets.
Over the next 3 years, Hakeem continued to dominate, dragging the Rockets to the playoffs and collecting individual accolades, leading the league in blocks and rebounds twice. In 1990, he made history by becoming only the 3rd player to post a quadruple double with 18 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists, and an astonishing 11 blocks against the Bucks.
Wow.
Rebound. Gets it back out to
I gotta watch that game.
Yeah, there it is. Way to go, Lou. Only the 3rd quadruple double in the history of the NBA.
But the Rockets' management struggled to surround him with quality players, resulting in 3 consecutive first-round playoff exits. By 1992, the tension had reached the boiling point, with Hakeem openly beefing with the Rockets' owner, Charlie Thomas, and the team's front office. The Dream was unhappy with his salary and Houston's inability to sign star players. And late in the season, when Hakeem injured his hamstring and told the team he couldn't play, they accused him of faking the injury due to his contract dispute. To make things even worse, they suspended Hakeem at the crucial point of the season, which caused the Rockets to miss the playoffs for the first time during Olajuwon's tenure.
Hakeem the Dream says he can't play. He says he's injured. The Rockets say that's bull. They say he won't play because he wants his contract renegotiated. So today, the Rockets suspended Hakeem indefinitely without pay.
This further infuriated Hakeem, who openly demanded to be traded, and many thought Olajuwon had played his last game for Houston at the end of the 1992 campaign. But on a flight to Japan, where the Rockets played the first 2 games of the 1993 season against the Seattle Supersonics, Olajuwon and Houston owner Charlie Thomas smoothed out their differences. The new coach, Rudy Tomjanovich, certainly played a big part in Hakeem's decision to stay in Houston, just like the drafting of forward Robert Horry, who joined a nucleus of Hakeem, Kenny Smith, and Vernon Maxwell, who had both arrived in Houston in 1990. Another big difference was Hakeem's demeanor.
Level, looks like he's shooting left. There's a fight. Olajuwon and Calqc.
In his early years, Olajuwon was one of the roughest and most violent players in the NBA, often engaging in on-court scuffles, arguing with the refs, and getting technicals. However, in the late 80s and early 90s, he became a devout Muslim, changing his name from Akeem to Hakeem. But other than his name, the Muslim faith completely transformed his personality and on-court behavior. There were no more fights and no more arguing, and Olajuwon became a calm guy who only cared about one thing: winning. I'm not changing the spelling of my name, I'm correcting it. I studied the Quran every day. At home, at the mosque, I would read it in airplanes, before games, and after them. I was soaking up the faith and learning new meanings each time I turned a page. I didn't dabble in the faith. I gave myself over to it. Olajuwon became famous not only for his play, but also for the fact that he abstained from food and water from dawn to sunset during the month of Ramadan, which meant that he sometimes played games without eating and drinking a drop of water, which was unheard of in the NBA. However, Hakeem swore that fasting gave him more energy, and the results proved it. In 1993, Olajuwon played the best season of his career, averaging a career-high 26.1 points per game, 13 rebounds, 1.8 steals, and a league-leading 4.2 blocks.
Damn.
Because of the arrival of strong outside shooters in Smith, Maxwell, and Horry, Hakeem was also more comfortable passing the ball from the post after getting doubled, which resulted in a career-high in assists, with 3.5 dimes per game. The Dream finished second in MVP voting behind Charles Barkley, And he finally won an award he probably should have won a few times earlier, the Defensive Player of the Year.
The 1993 NBA Defensive Player of the Year award to our own Hakeem Olajuwon.
The Rockets finished second in the West with a franchise record 55 wins. And in the first-round win over the Clippers, Olajuwon posted video game-like numbers, averaging 30 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 6 blocks per game.
Oh, my Lord.
There was just nothing that the Clippers could do to stop him.
However, in the second round, the Supersonics edged out the Rockets in a tough 7-game series, winning the deciding game 103-100 in overtime.
Uh-oh, we got Olajuwon open. Olajuwon takes it. Seattle goes to Phoenix.
And despite another playoff loss, it was clear that the Rockets were on the rise, especially after they drafted Sam Cassell and traded for Mario Elie, which gave Olajuwon even more options to kick the ball out after a double team. For the 1994 season, Houston was firing on all cylinders, with great chemistry within the team, great leadership from Rudy Tomjanovich, and a perfect blend of youth and experience around Olajuwon, who played the best basketball of his career. His patented dream shake, which included a ballerina-like footwork with an array of spins, head fakes, and pump fakes, gave Hakeem an almost unfair advantage, especially because he could shoot over either shoulder, fading away in any direction he wanted to, and finish with a buttery jumper. Olajuwon's combination of skill, agility, size, and power was unmatched, and he'd often look like he was toying with defenders who had no answer for the dream shake. If a defender stood too close, Hakeem would cross him up or spin him around. And if they moved further away, he'd simply raise up and sink a jumper in their face, as he was the only center in the league able to consistently make jumpers outside the paint. For the 1994 season, Olajuwon averaged a new career high in scoring, with 27.3 points per game, 3.6 assists, 12 rebounds, 1.6 steals, and 3.7 blocks.
This shit is
the Rockets
crazy.
finished the season with 58 wins, and Olajuwon was finally awarded the MVP award, along with another Defensive Player of the Year.
Congratulations on being the 1994 NBA Most Valuable Player.
In the playoffs, Houston defeated the Blazers, but the Suns pushed them to Game 7 in the second round, behind stellar play from Charles Barkley and Kevin Johnson. However, Hakeem was too good, and in Game 7, he finished with 37 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks, leading the Rockets to victory and the conference finals against the Jazz.
Damn.
The Houston Rockets on their way to the Western Conference Finals.
And even though Utah had a formidable team with Karl Malone, John Stockton, and Jeff Hornacek, the Rockets easily won the series in 5 games to make their second trip to the NBA Finals against the New York Knicks.
4 games to 1. Houston wins the West. The final tonight, 94-83.
It was a matchup between the 2 best defensive teams in the NBA, and a battle between the 2 best centers in the league, Hakeem versus Patrick Ewing. It was a bar fight, a hard-fought series where neither team scored 100 points in a single game, and it all came down to Game 7. In the deciding game, Hakeem showed his all-around greatness, posting 25 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 blocks, leading the Rockets to a 90-84 victory and their first NBA championship.
And the Houston Rockets, led by Hakeem Olajuwon, are the world champions of 1994.
The Dream was named the Finals MVP with averages of 27 points, 9 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 4 blocks per game, shooting 50% from the field and 86% from the free throw line. By comparison, Ewing averaged just 19 points on 36% shooting, with Hakeem defending him brilliantly and outscoring him in every game of the series. Olajuwon became the only player in NBA history to win the MVP, the championship, the Finals MVP, and Defensive Player of the Year awards in the same season.
Wow.
And when the 1995 season started, the Rockets continued with stellar play and opened the year with 9 straight wins. However, towards the middle of the year, they started losing games, and it was clear that they needed a spark to have a chance to repeat. So they traded their starting power forward, Otis Thorpe, and a first-round pick for Hakeem's old college roommate, Clyde Drexler, who had requested a trade from the Blazers. With 5 Slamma Jamma brothers back together, the Rockets finished the season season on a high, despite only winning 47 games and entering the playoffs as a 6th seed. But when the playoffs started, every series was a struggle, and the Rockets didn't look like they were capable of heading back to the finals. In the first round against Utah, they were on the brink of elimination after falling down 2-1, when the first round was still played in the best-of-5 format. But Drexler scored 41, and Hakeem had 40 in Game 4 to even the series. And in the deciding Game 5, Olajuwon led the way with 33 points, and the Rockets advanced.
And the defending champions survive Game 5.
But in the next round against Barkley and the Suns, it seemed like the Rockets were doomed after falling 3-1 in the series and still losing after the first 3 quarters of Game 5. But they turned things around and won that game in overtime, and the next 2 games as well, becoming just the 5th team to come back from a 3-1 deficit in the playoffs.
And the Houston Rockets are going back to the Western Conference Final.
And the conference finals against the Spurs were very personal for Hakeem, who thought that he was robbed in the MVP race, as the award went to David Robinson, despite Olajuwon posting better numbers in all statistical categories. The Rockets won Game 1 by a single point. But in Game 2, Hakeem embarrassed the MVP in what was one of the most beautiful dream shakes of his career.
Trying to turn baseline. I tell you, Olajuwon has David Robinson just bamboozled.
Olajuwon finished Game 2 with 41 points in another win for Houston. And despite San Antonio tying the series, Hakeem and the Rockets were just in another class, ultimately winning 4-2 and making another NBA Finals.
The Houston Rockets are on their way back to the NBA Finals.
For the series, Olajuwon averaged 35.3 points on 56% shooting, compared to 23.8 points and 45% shooting for Robinson. And the Dream outscored the MVP 81-41 in the final 2 games. When later asked what a team could do to solve Olajuwon, Robinson said, "Hakeem, you don't solve Hakeem." But the NBA Finals provided another clash between 2 legendary centers, as the Orlando Magic won the East, behind superstar big man Shaquille O'Neal. And in Game 1, it seemed like the younger O'Neal would get the better of Olajuwon, as the Rockets were losing by 3 points in the final seconds, and Nick Anderson had 2 free throws to clinch the game for Orlando. However, Anderson missed both, but then caught his own rebound and got fouled again. He only needed to make 1, but Anderson couldn't handle the pressure, and miraculously for Houston, he missed 2 freebies once more, giving the Rockets a sliver of hope to tie the game with a 3. With a few seconds remaining, Kenny Smith got the ball, pump faked, and launched a 3 that went in to send the game to overtime.
Oh, I can't wait to watch this.
And in the OT, Hakeem made a game-winning tip to steal Game 1, from which the Magic never recovered. Houston won the next 3 games, sweeping the Magic to win their 2nd NBA title, with Hakeem repeating as the Finals MVP.
The Houston Rockets have won their 2nd consecutive NBA championship. They have swept the Orlando Magic.
Olajuwon outscored Shaq in every game, scoring more than 30 points in each of the 4 games. Dream's 1995 playoff run was one of the best of all time, as he averaged 33 points on 53% shooting, along with 10 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and 3 blocks across 22 games.
I'm going to go at the 5 spot. I'm going to go with Hakeem Olajuwon. Because for me, I know I was coming in and I was emerging / already emerged. He was the only guy that I couldn't figure out. I couldn't figure him out. And he was the only guy that I couldn't intimidate.
In the 1996 season, Olajuwon was still playing at an elite level, averaging 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game, finishing 4th in the MVP voting. However, the Rockets were on the decline, and they got swept in the 2nd round against the Sonics.
And there's a giveaway in center court. Hersey Hawkins will put the nail in the coffin for the defending champions.
For the 1997 season, Houston added another superstar in Charles Barkley. But with Hakeem and Barkley being 34 and Drexler 35, the best that the aging Rockets could do was the conference finals, where they were defeated by the Utah Jazz in 6 games.
They got close.
John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
In
Wow.
1998, Hakeem averaged less than 20 points per game for the first time. And in 1999, even with the addition of Scottie Pippen, it was clear that Houston's championship window was closed, despite Olajuwon still making the All-NBA team that season. Hakeem stayed with the Rockets for 2 more years, after which he got traded to the Raptors, where he ultimately retired after the 2002 season. In his prime, which was the first 13 years of his career, Olajuwon averaged 24.2 points, 12.0 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 1.9 steals, 3.5 blocks on 52% shooting, with 6 top 5 finishes in MVP voting and 8 top 5 finishes in voting for Defensive Player of the Year. In the playoffs, he was even better, averaging 27.3 points, 11.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 1.7 steals, and 3.4 blocks on 54% shooting, as he was one of those rare players who always upped their game in the postseason. Hakeem and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are the only 2 players in NBA history who have averaged at least 27 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks per game in the playoffs in their first 13 NBA seasons.
Tough.
With 3,830 career blocks, the Dream is by far the best shot blocker of all time. And he's the only center in the top 10 in career steals. If you combine Dream's career blocks and steals, 6,705, he's a staggering 1,900 total stocks ahead of David Robinson, who is in second place on that list. The numbers, the accolades, and the eye test all confirm the same thing, that Hakeem was the most versatile and most complete center of all time. Robert Horry, who won championships with Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, and Shaq while all were in their prime, said that Hakeem was the best player out of the 3.
And if you say right now, name the top 5 big men, I play with 3 of them. Yeah. He's a really quiet guy. You can't get him to do much, to say much. So we kind of veer away from him. We don't talk about him. But to me, if you look at what he put together, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP in one season, all-time leading shot blocker, those things that you look at his history and what he's done for the game and how he started the game. I think what his body of work was just incredible, and he's just a good dude too, man.
And even though he didn't win as many championships as Bill Russell, Kareem, or Shaq, that's more of a reflection on his teams and not on Olajuwon himself, because he played the majority of his career without another All-Star, if you exclude the first few years with Ralph Sampson and the final couple of seasons with Drexler. And out of all great centers of the past, Hakeem's game would translate the best in the modern era. Pace and space basketball. Because of his agility, quickness, and the ability to shoot from the outside, Olajuwon would dominate both ends of the court in any era.
And Hakeem Olajuwon, who I believe, along with Michael Jordan, are the only 2 people I've ever been on the court with, and Kobe, that I felt like were the best player on both ends at all times. I remember looking over at the bench, and I seen Hakeem with a gas mask on. I was like, wow, I didn't realize the Dream got tired, because I viewed him as superhuman.
Dirk Nowitzki's 2011 run is often praised as the best basketball playoff performance ever, because he didn't play alongside star players. But Hakeem did it first in 1994, and it's pretty safe to say that Houston's supporting cast that season was not as good as Dallas's in 2011. Michael Jordan had a losing record against Olajuwon.
Rockets will be playing perimeter defense. Jordan for 3, blocked by Olajuwon, and Hakeem takes it to end the game.
Picked Olajuwon in his all-time starting 5.
Scottie Pippen for sure, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and Hakeem Olajuwon. I got no chance of losing, none at all.
And many people who played against him consider Hakeem to be the best center of all time.
Hakeem to me is number 1.
Thanks for watching. And if you like this video, we have another one for you right here.
Yao Ming. Should I watch Yao Ming? Maybe. I don't know. But man, Hakeem, bro, what I learned from this video, he was just in his own different lane, man. He was different. I'll definitely have to watch those finals and them early playoff games with Ralph Sampson, even though he didn't get far, just to watch Hakeem, bro. He different, bro. He different. He in his own lane, like Bird, like Jordan, Magic. He is one of them people that's in his own lane. A player today that remind me of Hakeem is Wemby. But Wemby is not Hakeem. Just number-wise and all that stuff. But yeah, man. It's your boy Cal. Hit the subscribe button. I appreciate you guys and girls, because I know it's women that watch this too, for watching. Hit that thumbs up, and I will catch y'all guys in the next one. Peace.